Put your hands on your heart and breathe. I am here, I am here, I am here. Thank you, Imani, for offering us such a beautifully, somatically centered and spiritually grounded way of welcoming us to this evening of performances, of transitioning us from the inspiring multiplicity of presentations in the exhibition to this evening's event. For those of you who don't know, Imani's ritual performance was in celebration of the Black Madonna, and everything that the Black Madonna represents, especially the things that go unspoken, the elusivity of her origins, her color, her sacredness. It was a powerful place to begin this culminating celebration of the Zip Code Memory Project, and I am here to welcome you. I am here, Imani sang. I am here. This refrain is representative of what the Zip Code Memory Project has aspired to share. I am here. We are here, listening to and with each other, giving voice and meaning to stories and experiences that have been historically, institutionally, politically forgotten, specifically during the COVID pandemic. And yet, and still, as Imani sang, I am here. We are here. ZCMP was originally envisioned as a project committed to finding community-based ways of memorializing the devastating loss and losses resulting from the coronavirus pandemic, while also acknowledging its radically differential effects on Upper New York City neighborhoods. From September 2021 through today, we have gathered, both in person and over Zoom, through a series of art-based workshops, public events, social media platforms, and smaller community gatherings to build networks of shared responsibility and belonging. This year has been about collaboration, a year of riding the roller coaster of interactive creation as we've inspired each other to unlearn what we thought we knew and learn from each other again, anew. Working across the zip codes of Harlem, Washington Heights, and the South Bronx, we have gathered with local community, arts, and academic organizations to imagine how the losses of the pandemic can be acknowledged, mourned, healed, and how the mutual aid, care, and repair they have occasioned can be honored. Today, we invite you into our zip codes, our neighborhoods, onto our blocks in celebration of this work. We welcome you to this culminating event, an iteration of the ZCMP project that we envision as less an ending or final chapter, and more as a substantive opening into future engagements and collaborations that will enable us to widen the scope of what this project has been. We invite you not only to observe, but to be here with us in a participatory sense, as those involved with ZCMP have sought to be with each other throughout this year. Now, I want to take a moment in these opening remarks to really focus in on and celebrate the participants at the very heart of this project. Participants who have in every way shaped what ZCMP has been about, who have shown up with and for each other, carved out spaces of magic in everything they've given and created, and brought with them to this project the stories, insights, and perspectives from their blocks, their neighborhoods, and zip codes. Irachi.
Mietra, Alicera, Amalulu, Sarah, Robert, Arlene, Jose, Eugene, Temple, Sonia, Cecile, Naomi, Sheba, Candace, and the two Marias.
Maria, 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 Maria. Elena, Sandra, Stephen, Nasia, Andrea, Robert, Desiree, Carl, Benjamin, Sahiet, Malgorzata, Dominic, Jim, Scarlett, Dahia, Jasmine, Anna, Simone, Malay, Betsy, Stanley, Mariana, Janessa, Ni, and Ni.
I thought it fitting to invite into these opening remarks some of the words and poetry of our participants, many of which have just been named, from our respective blocks, our respective neighborhoods, and our zip codes. As we came together through performance workshops, the Theater of the Oppressed, and engaged in interactive activities such as the creation of body maps, we were challenged to look towards the things perhaps we did not know.
I didn't know my body would sweat at night, and it wasn't cold. I didn't know if we were going to be okay. I didn't know every day at 5 we would meet in the street and clap. I didn't know my heart would swell with love for people that I had never met. I don't know how long, how much, how, and how not to be. And we're still here. And we still rub the subway. And we still believe the next day. And we're still here. And we still open our eyes, breathe, and chant the day.
We are still here. We still open our eyes, breathe, and chant the day. On these blocks and these neighborhoods, in our zip codes, you've given us haikus, collages, spirit cards, other forms of artistic reflection, speaking to, oftentimes, this menacing weight many of us have carried.
A menacing mass seemed to carry our weight. The solid mountains turned into the flowing waves. On the other side of peace and grace awaits.
On the other side does peace and grace await us on these blocks, in these neighborhoods, in our zip codes. We've asked this of each other together. We ask ourselves, well, what do we do?
Well, what do you do if the possibility of death crack open us? Purchase before dying, well-loved and expiring, goodbye, my sweet love. What if I really died? What can I offer? What can I give? Receive? Well, what do you do if the possibility of death cracks us open? What if I really die? How much does the coffin cost? Can my mom afford that? Purchase before dying. The possibility of death. Crack
open us. Crack us open on our blocks and our neighborhoods in these zip codes. We felt and found and mourned friendship in our homes, in our parks.
Morningside Park, an infinitely various green space, egrets, herons, a freshwater spring. It registered the passing day, the changing season, a new composition of leaves, grass, flowers, sun, sky, rain, snow, ice, a microcosm of the city, young and old, black, brown, and white. Work crews cleaning and painting, and artists collecting trash to be reimagined. Young people lounging, and old ones with nowhere else to spend the afternoon. Children making a treehouse, playgrounds for every age, soccer, baseball, basketball, African dance, picnics and barbecue, stories, gritty reality, sites of enduring struggle for public space, covert. It was my backyard, living room, dining room, social center, gym. Friendship grew on the park bench in the sun, on walking and talking the length of the park and looping back and back, noticing something we hadn't seen before.
These things we hadn't seen before on our blocks, in these zip codes, in our neighborhoods, and yet we still managed to find love.
Love. Love that sits at my door. A new level of peace consumed within that space. We also felt free. We also felt free.
We
We
also
felt free.
free. Freedom. What exactly is this enigma running in vicious, elusive circles around the millions of ways we are called to be here? On our blocks, in our neighborhoods, in our zip codes, the millions of ways we have been forced to and encouraged to proclaim that we are here. In this post, but not really post-COVID era, we are here. For those who can't be, we are here. And in our being, we solicit you to be here with us. So as we welcome you here, I'd like for you to take a few moments and join us in these poetic reflections. And you'll find throughout this night, we will ask you to participate in the performances like I'm doing now. This is a participatory event, so be prepared and be ready, okay? I'd like for you in the next minute to get into the spirit of what ZCMP is about. Think for a moment about the names, the emotions, the objects that forced you to question what it means to be here during this era of COVID. Things that served to ground or unground you during this period of time. 1 minute, turn to your partner, okay, and share. Just call out some of these names. Again, emotions, objects, all right, memories, people who might be with you, who might not still be with you. All right, turn to your partner. I'll give you about a minute and call out what comes to you. Okay, now in true symphony style, again, in the true spirit of what ZCMP has been about, I want you to call out some of these names, objects, emotions. Just call them out. Call them out
Do you
loud.
want me to take?
Florine Carter, Devastation.
Windows. Peach trees.
Zoom. The global pandemic stone.
Global warming.
Pots and pans.
Walks. Air.
Breathe.
You all spoke so much. I'm hearing scattered words here and there. Call out anything that you shared.
Tomatoes.
Reading, yes.
WhatsApp messages.
Reading and Zoom. Roommates. Long walks. Loneliness.
Meditation.
Vaccines.
Vaccines.
Green space.
Electronic
Said
equipment.
green space. Hi, Mommy.
Service.
That's my daughter.
Hi, Grandpa. Exhaustion.
Exhaustion. Anything else?
Family.
Art project.
Art projects.
Sonia.
Modality. Boundaries.
Isolation.
Isolation. Food delivery. Mania.
Unstructured structure.
Unstructured structure.
The unknown.
The unknown. Hope. Redefining normalcy.
Change.
Change.
Love.
Love.
Meeting with my friends.
Meeting with friends.
Checking in with family. What's up?
WhatsApp. Checking in with family. Fighting skepticism.
Long loneliness.
Long loneliness.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Sirens.
Silence.
Stand still.
Stand still.
Love.
Black Lives Matter.
FaceTime.
FaceTime. Excellent, thank you. I wanted to invite you again into the participatory nature of ZCMP. So a couple of thank yous before I pass the mic. We want to thank all of the schools, Columbia, NYU, Yale, who have been involved in funding this particular project. We are very grateful. Special thanks given to the Cathedral of St. John the Divine here, and Lisa Schubert, yes, it deserves a round of applause, absolutely. We thank you for your ongoing facilitation and support in offering this inspirational space for this entire year. This has served as a sanctuary, and I mean that in many senses of the word. So thank you. And of course, thank you to all the organizers, our fellows, workshop leaders, the participants that I named to make this project possible. I am going to turn over the mic now to George Sanchez, who has been foundational in this project. I had to say, I know you don't want me to, for our land acknowledgement. So thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. Buenas noches. I'm going to take a few minutes. I first want to thank Noni, Irachi, and Luca. Can we all just say thank you very much? I'm going to give a land acknowledgement. I don't know how many of you are familiar with this, so I'm going to take a little time to explain why we're doing it. And with all due respect to the Reverend who's going to follow me and to St. John the Divine, I have to be completely transparent and tell you it's the first time I've done a land acknowledgement in a place that represents everything I've been fighting against my entire life, and that brought upon something called colonialism. So I think it would be unethical for me not to acknowledge that it's a challenging moment for me to be here, but I'm here with my heart and soul in a way to look for restorative justice with somebody with a place I see as an enemy, as harmful, as violent, and I say this publicly for the first time. It's not easy, but I have to be honest. And I do with all due respect to you, Reverend, because I know you're going to help me out here. And with everybody here at St. John of the Vine, who's been nothing but embracing and supportive of this project, but giving a land acknowledgement in the church is a first. These things began, if you don't know, in 2013. The first land acknowledgement we can think of happened in Toronto, Canada. I want to remind people that we don't do land acknowledgements on native lands. There's no need to. You don't go to a reservation or native land and they give land, they're on their land. Land acknowledgements are given in places where hopefully people start to recognize the land is not theirs. This idea that this land is your land is a lie. It's not. It's stolen land. So I just want to be brief, but I have to be honest to say we are on the ancestral homelands of Lenape-Hoking. That includes, but not limited to, the Munsee, Canarsie, and Lenape people, and I am leaving out many other Native nations that I am not aware of. We do this in an effort to build restorative justice, to build acknowledgement, and hopefully, and here I'm reading from a land acknowledgement that my sister Oleana gave me, who's working with the Ramapo people now, and the acknowledgement demonstrates our ongoing commitment as a community working to dismantle the continued legacies of colonialism, oppression, and systematic racism. We offer a pledge of social justice, awakening, and education in order to raise the level of awareness, and I'm going to add accountability, and to ultimately strengthen the communal fabric, which includes outreach with our indigenous neighbors and everyone else in this room. May I please ask all the participants in the Zip Code Memory Project to stand. All the participants who are here in the Zip Code, please stand. No matter how many of you, all the participants in the Zip Code Memory, here's who we have. Here's who we have. It's not everyone, everybody. Don't be shy. Don't be like, oh no, I was there, but I can't stand. If you were there, you stand. There were many more. We did not reach the numbers we wanted because it's COVID. These people made an effort, made a sacrifice, believed in the project, and most importantly, believed in each other. I want you all please to look at these people and just acknowledge their participation in this project. And I'll just close by saying it's not just COVID. There are many pandemics. It's not over. You notice everybody's wearing a mask. People had to check their vaccination. The country is confused. People are still dying. People are getting infected. We're still going through the process. So we want to thank everybody for being here. We hope we can get more of you to join in and create a new fabric, a new community, a new normal that has accountability and responsibility, love and compassion for no matter what your experience is, no matter what your identity is, you are part of this family. All things are related when we recognize we live in the same place. When we recognize we share the same place, all things are related. I now want to pass to Reverend Paul Anthony Daniels II. Reverend Paul, please.
Good evening. It's my privilege and honor to be with you. On behalf of the Dean of the Cathedral, who couldn't be here this evening, the Right Reverend Clifton Daniel, welcome to the Cathedral of St. John Divine. I'm the Reverend Paul Anthony Daniels II. I won't keep you long, and I will introduce someone who it is an honor for me to introduce in Professor Fred Moden. But I did just want to say how I see some resonance between the Zip Code Memory Project and the wisdom tradition that is the religion of Jesus. And notice I say the religion of Jesus, right? When COVID was, I guess, something that we were still quite unfamiliar with, one of the difficult things for a lot of ministers was that they would find out that parishioners had died alone and in silence, and were there for who knows how long. The Martinican poet Aimé Césaire said in an essay entitled Poetry and Knowledge, he said that poetic knowledge is born in the silence of scientific knowledge. And for those of us who emerge out of traditions or out of peoples who have been violently alienated from time and space and place and language, and for those of us who have been, who emerge from people who, when attempting to trace our lineage, come up incomplete, or who in attempting to secure civil liberties come up incomplete, the question becomes, what do we do? How is it that we keep going, and why do we keep going when all of the sort of measurable means by which to keep going turn up incomplete? And one of the ways that we do that is by creating ritual and space together to create, to make, to imagine, to become in ways that have yet been imagined, and to enter into mystery together, right? And in our tradition, that mystery is graced. That mystery is grace, and grace speaks to a rhythm, a pulse at the core of reality itself that no kind of circumscription, no kind of violent forgetting and forgetfulness can overcome. And so what you are doing here today, making and creating so that we can become what we have yet to become, is a sacred and prophetic act, and I wish that you were here every day. One of the people, living or dead, that has helped me to understand better the efficacy of making, of entering into an intimacy of creation and collaboration, is Professor Fred Moden. Professor Fred Moden is an American cultural theorist, poet, and scholar whose work explores critical theory, Black studies, and performance studies. He is a professor of performance studies at New York University, and in 2020, Professor Moden was awarded the MacArthur Fellowship for creating new conceptual spaces to accommodate emerging forms of Black aesthetics, cultural production, and social life. Just the other day, a friend of mine who's a PhD student in Yale's Religious Studies program messaged me and said that his professor, after they read together one of Professor Moden's essays entitled Sonata Quasi una Fantasia from Black and Blur, she said to them, "This is one of the most important pieces of writing produced in the last few decades." Professor Moden's writing is not just an academic affair, though it is that, but the fact of sharing and reading together is a transformative spiritual act that his work affects on those who have ever encountered it. And it is my privilege to welcome that beauty and that wonder to the Cathedral, St. John Divine. With no further ado, Professor Moden.
Thank you, Reverend Daniels. I'm really proud and happy to be here. You have to forgive me because I'm going to read something to you tonight. Don't think that it doesn't come from my heart just because I'm reading it. And don't think that my reading it means that I know something that you don't know. I'm reminded of these great words from the poet Amiri Baraka in a beautiful poem called Something in the Way of Things in Town. And he says, I know some things that you know. I don't know anything you don't know. The particular range of devastation that has been visited on the neighborhoods of Upper New York City during the COVID-19 pandemic has been brutal for all the usual reasons, and also for a couple of others. One of those is that it is so impossible to measure. How do you count the loss of someone who was, in fact, so many people for so many people? A beloved abuela, for instance, whose touch or glance is no longer shared, and the sound of whose voice or the taste of whose cooking fades from sure materiality to uncertain memory, so that the very familiarity that makes a family begins to waver and must somehow remake itself. She's also that lady that we see every morning at the bus stop, the one whose eye catches every one of ours in silent greeting, the one you watch with a small secret joy, mark with her own small secret joy, some child's passage from being carried to toddling to running too fast down the street as the seasons change and folks move in and move on. When you watch the way she watches, when you watch with her and see with her, it's like you both know the neighborhood still belongs to you and you belong to it. And deeper still, you are hers and she is yours in a memory you share of some place neither of you have been. So that when one day she stops being there at that same time every morning, you're disoriented. You take a wrong turn, or the right turn now feels wrong because you share a loss you have no way of knowing that you share. She just wasn't there one day, and you weren't the only one who missed her. And so the neighborhood grows palpably less sure of itself, less welcoming to itself and to its changes. And there's no way of counting, no way of fully knowing this exponential diminishment of the maternal ecology. And then there's the whole thing about how it was all so needless. She's not supposed to be gone because she had to go to work, because everything still depended upon all she had to give. All the losses that are held in her being lost didn't have to happen, and they didn't have to happen that way. All lopsided, all unequal in effect, all skewed in reversal of the normal modes of transfer from the ones who give to the ones who take. Why is it that when loss happens, the ones who give are given more and more, so much more than they can take? Why are the ones who lose given the responsibility of creating a miracle like this one, where they show what it is to share unknowable and unmeasurable loss, and in that sharing, turn immeasurable privation into incalculable wealth? I keep saying they when I want to say we so bad that I can taste it, or smell it, or hear it, as if it's being whispered in my ear. Do I have to earn that solidarity? Can you grant it to me? Will you suffer me to suffer with y'all as if I were a little child? I feel like I feel something with you, even if it can't be what you feel. I lost someone. On April 16th, 2022, my mom, whose name is B. Jenkins, would have been 88 years old, but for the fact that on April 16th, 2000, she died on her 66th birthday. So this evening, this spring, as life comes back in what has become my customary season of depression, I stand before you, a motherless child, trying to get ready for something new. Is spring repair or preparation? Is its renewal a function or a negation of destitution? There's a problem we can't solve, even if spring will never be the same for me, even if spring is the time that really hangs me up the most. All I know for sure is that I'll never get over it. One of the last things she said to me, with neither one of us having any expectation that she would carry out this imperative, is, I see now I'm going to have to let you go. I was 37 years old at the time, so her declaration was a little ridiculous for a bunch of reasons. The main one being that she and I both knew that she could never let me go. I can't let her go either. When I say that I'll never get over it, that's what I mean. We'll never let each other go. Now, the thing is, there is an all but unimaginable release in how we bear the unbearable burden of always having to get ready for the thing we'll never get over. We're always trying to get ready for this harmony of holding and handing, this murmur of mourning and remembering. When we send our kids off to school in the morning, that's what we're studying. Every bye mama or hey baby, in whatever economy of love they are arranged, is another lesson in the giving and taking of what we never fully have and cannot do without. Beyond any either simple or complex distinction between mourning and melancholy, there is this condition of entanglement and accompaniment and conspiracy that is an inability which turns into a refusal to let go or to let go of. And what if the extent to which we conspire in this inability and refusal to get over it is the extent to which we will have come to know how we got over? Our conspiracy, that collective soul, which is given in all the materialities we share and practice, will have looked back in wonder someday, and it will look ahead as we do now, as we prepare to imagine the double edge of what is, that we practice the alternative, and that there is a war against the alternative, which is our subsistence. I know I can't have earned the right to say we, and I don't know if you can grant me that right, but I'm going to ask you to do it anyway. Because our loss, which was inevitable, is redoubled by the fact that it didn't have to happen how it did. What we knew we had to lose didn't have to be lost, didn't have to be taken from us that way. And the demand for that immeasurably more and more than infinite energy we must exert to hold on to what and to who have been stolen from us is constantly increased. That we must go on never knowing how we can go on is a natural thing made unnatural in the malignant war that now also we must prepare to imagine. What are we doing right now, and how do we do it again next week? We don't have the luxury to be careless about noticing everything that might keep us from being here again next week. Every time we come together, we do so in mourning and celebration with immeasurable joy and incalculable sadness. Incalculable because the loss is uncountable, because I don't know what I lost. I still don't know all of who I lost when I lost my mama. I still must prepare to imagine the loss of my mama, who someone in here knew and lost, who is lost to me too, even as she lives in my imagination. Moreover, and more ominously, we must prepare to imagine that we are at war, to imagine with and in the evidence that's all around us, the evidence that we are in mourning, the evidence of our loss, which is a constancy that continues to condition this pandemic as an aspect, as a facet, even in its globality, of that theater of war. The inequalities that structure this pandemic on global and local scales are man-made, which means that our loss, which is always going to be bigger than the sum of our losses, can't be attributed to any natural cause. We must prepare to imagine how and why that is. We must prepare to imagine that what is given in the facts of our shared history of loss, where the genocidal displacements that put refugees on the move from Olumu Rock to La Perla to Washington Heights are like a constant crossing, as a marking every spot along the path of every step we take in the ongoing convergence of the war of conquest and the war against subsistence. Our homes, our neighborhoods are also battlefields, and movement in and from them is under the gun. Somehow, we live here even though we can't live here. Somehow, in order to live here, we have to see that we can't live here anymore. To imagine that our stories of loss are also stories of war is also to imagine that there will be no repair, that this too is something we will never get over, and that there's no getting over it, which will always be part inability and part refusal, and that what might be born in it is so much more than the limited possibilities that repair implies. These wounds, these losses that we can't and won't get over can, if we choose to share them, if we are prepared to recognize that the truth is that we share them, be the basis of a future in which the state-sanctioned and/or extra-legal group differentiated vulnerability to premature death, which is what the great geographer and social activist Ruth Wilson Gilmore calls racism, is no longer accepted or acceptable as the basis of our existence, which is unbearable in a world that will not bear it. What I'm trying to say is that we can't see the future we want if we can't see the present in which we live. But if I am prepared to imagine this real world in which my mother, in which all our mothers did not die of natural causes, it is because I'm also prepared to imagine the surreal world in which my mother is not just my own, in which she remains part of a maternal ecology we share in all our sensual experiences of family and in those less palpable but no less real intensities of encounter with the ones we pass on the street, in the neighborhoods we have and lose and build in displacement, the ones whose names aren't known but whose faces are, as if we share the memories of all the members of this broken fellowship of the distant shore. We have to move here so we can move away from here. Our task is to remove, and we have to prepare to imagine that. There's no return, there's no repair, but there's something else in sharing, even in the sharing of our loss, which we can only protect by practicing it in the love and vigilance and militance that war demands.
The first 2 months of the pandemic for me were filled with the sound of ambulance sirens 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. At the beginning, I attempted to keep count of each siren I heard, but it simply got to be too many at a time, and I did not want to normalize any of it because the overall handling of the crisis had been so abysmal, and I lived so close to Montefiore. And the outside morgues, although I could not see them, I could sense it. Another week in, I stopped looking at the time. COVID broke what was familiar for me, who I felt close to, fractured from anything recognizable for some time to come. And aside from immediate family living with me, the only other human beings I would see were essential workers. I began to measure time based on my interactions with them. So in the morning time meant receiving the mail from the postal person. Afternoon came to mean seeing construction workers from outside my window, walking very cautiously on the scaffolding. And I could tell from a distance, as I looked outside my window, that they were sick. Every step they took was so carefully taken. If we were out of food, it meant a week had passed. And I'd see the cashiers at the supermarket scared shitless. And we'd just look at each other, not knowing anymore how to say hello or how are you. The pandemic became weaponized against the most marginalized, with the overwhelming amount of lives lost to COVID in the US being poor and/or Black, brown, or indigenous. Many routinely denied access to the necessary infrastructures to save their lives continued going to work. Our healthcare system treated as and run under a racial and disaster capitalist model feeds off of debt, illness, and death. Not even the sight of these morgues outside of local hospitals softened professionally hardened hearts trained to disregard their own humanity for the sake of their job descriptions. Essential workers shouldered the burden of pandemic-driven economic collapse for billionaires making them richer. They remained behind in the silence of the city, watching those with means either evacuate it or self-isolate in the now upscale neighborhoods that had not so long ago just been gentrified. New large glass retail spaces downtown sit glaringly empty, as do the tight multi-generational spaces uptown and deep in the outer boroughs. Spaces like where the local botanica, that used to be a bodega, that used to be a barber shop, that used to be a fabric store, that used to be a picture framing spot, used to be. The pandemic has helped displacement further along. You see that now, right? Developers, they didn't stop planning. They continued reshaping the city's landscape more and more. So essential workers seem to float like cut-out figures without a background existing only within the context of the service they are providing, without a sense of these people have families and feelings and lives. As Saidiya Hartman wrote, the real purpose of the essential worker, already at the bottom of the racial capitalist order, is the worker is only meant to nurture and support the psychic life of capitalism and colonialism that shores up the inviolability, security, happiness, and sovereignty of that master-subject situation. Only in America have people become martyrs via the dehumanization of their existence in order to validate the persistence of the economy. The pandemic has not ended. Millions of people have died, and their neighbors, family, and friends have grown accustomed to their absence. For 2 years, we have been processing, mourning, and readjusting, seeking connections, resisting. Resistance is what has kept us sane. We resisted through rebellion against the police murdering of Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, and countless others. We resisted through the acts of civil disobedience to stop Line 3 and Line 5, and any attempts by settler colonial governments and companies of the US and Canada to break treaties and make egregious claims on native land. And we resisted and organized to help the most vulnerable on our blocks get food, PPE, medicine, enough to pay the utility bills or just get on the subway. And we banged pots and pans, and we cheered for essential workers, keeping us alive so we were also connecting with someone mourning, surviving, figuring out their lives, someone making it work out. We banged on our pots in sync with someone trying to survive in a society that only provides us with the tools to keep afloat in a toxic environment mediated through imperialism, colonialism, capitalism. In that 1 minute of pot banging, you remember, we tried to enact the world we wanted to see. There was hope in those bangs. And we banged our pots to ask each other, how do we reach our full potentials? We banged to redirect our focus, to remind each other of the work still left to do. So at the bottom of your chairs, maybe on your chairs, you should have some sort of metal device or a shaker. And I want you to hold them in your hands and be aware if you're sensitive to loud noises. You may want to cover your ears. You know yourself, take care of yourself. So it should be at the bottom, or take one from the chair next to you, or hold up a sign that says presente. You might be sitting next to a chair with a sign that says presente, an empty chair with a sign, maybe symbolizing someone you've lost, a neighbor, a friend, a family member, or just someone that you knew someone else had lost because of the millions and millions of people who have died of COVID. And when I want you to bang to remember to resist. We've forgotten how to resist. We've fallen back into these moments of complacency. We must continue resisting, because it all didn't just go away with the change of the federal or city administration. We bang on our pots to resist and end the carceral state. We bang our pots to resist and end fossil fuel resource extractions. We want land back now. We bang our pots to resist the unjust labor treatment and for the creation of more unions and other forms of community-centered economic structures. We bang our pots to push for community control of land, to stop the liquidation of the houseless on our public spaces and get them into homes with the services they need, because it is not easy to live on the streets when the only shelter from rain and wind you have is a subway station. We bang our pots for all the women who have lost the right to their bodies, to make decisions that are for themselves.
We bang the pots for all those single moms and single parents trying to make ends meet, paycheck to paycheck, because one paycheck is going to mean that they're going to be out the door. We bang our pots and pans for those with chronic historical underemployment. We're gonna bang our pots and pans. And I want you to craft an invitation for you in your life. How are you thinking? How are you relating with this land where we are guests? Some of us settlers, some of us not settlers, some of us native, some of us not native, but we're here. And this is the home that we have all agreed to make our home. So what are you gonna do to make sure that everyone's housed and fed and has a healthcare system where they can go and get the help that they need? That your neighbor next door has someone to say hello to, someone to talk to, just that connection when you are banging your pots at 7 o'clock every day because you were angry and you were fed up and you were mourning the world that we have been thought to think really matters when it doesn't. We matter. It's these connections that we craved every day in lockdown that matter. It's that connection that brought you here today. It's that connection to remember to be present, presente for those lives lost, presente for their families who still mourn them, presente for the government that let us down, for the sake of corporate money, presente and stand and resist. This life comes only once. Only once. What are you going to do? Presente, resist for them.
How y'all feeling? You feeling okay? Are you alive today? Yes. I mean, come on, are you alive today? Yes. They do a lot to keep us distracted from ourselves and from the fact that we are alive, so you don't have to remember anything about me or anything about this evening other than you were here, alive, inside of it, you know. My name is Amira Leon. I'm from Harlem, so I'm very happy to be in Harlem today. But yeah, I'm just gonna sing then. If I should die before my time, if I should before my time, before my time. saw the rain. She insisted on falling into the ground, into the ground, into the ground, into the ground. We go again. Dust I was, dust I will become again. I've been here once, I've been here twice, I'll come again. If I should die before my time, before my time, before my time, find me in the sky when the rain she's falling. Do not be mistaken. My body's gone, my spirit's breathing. I once was lost, and now I'm free again. Now I'm free again. So often I forgot that my mind was lost in the garden, begging God for the soil to swallow me whole. I thought that I was done. I thought that I was done living, done living, done living. They done told me that my blood would spill before I had a chance to know that I was more than a threat. To know that I was more than all you forget. Forget me not, 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 forget me not. Beyond the moon there is a place where my mother still sits on her knees, pouring blood into the rice, as all of us scream in the background asking for more, please. Ain't nothing like the big owl, the way it sits on your tongue, calls you back again, back again, back again. Look what we done did with the things that were burning. We made a kingdom from the ashes, and they had half the mind to forget them, but they wouldn't leave me alone. We were dancing. If I should die young, seek me in the rain as she falls back to the ocean. Seek me in the rain, dancing it even if you don't feel like living. Keep me in your mind, even when you've lost all ways. Always know that you're here in your body till you're not. your body. Do you not? You're here. In your body. Do you not? You're here. All of us know something about isolation right now, you know, and I think it's incredibly important that we remind ourselves that we were brought into this world alone, fed on blood that was not our own, fed on nutrients that were not our own, until we came out into this world cut from our mothers, the first departure of many. And here we sit, and at the key, que le morales y male, que te male. And here we be, inside our bodies, breathing, despite all the things that tried to kill us. Breathing, as the world she insists on turning, turning, turning. I dare you to imagine, imagine. You. Are y'all alive? Yeah? You feeling okay? Amazing. Before I walk away and we get on with this beautiful evening, I want to invite y'all to breathe with me. And you can't even deny it, you're already doing it, so you might as well join me. Let me stand up so I can see you. It's the only reason why I never play piano. I never play piano live because I guess it's a secret between me and God at home, but also I can't see the people. I just want to invite us to take a breath together, right? I think, you know, we're all talking about collective mourning, and I think where I come from, mourning is just as the sun does rise. It's an opportunity to praise, you know, and I think regardless of what the sound of your voice is, you should get acquainted with it. And regardless of how you feel about your body, you should fall in love with it. And regardless of what you know about your neighbors, you should keep them inside of your heart. Regardless, I suppose that's the word I'm gonna keep now. Regardless, despite. But right now, I just want y'all to take a deep breath with me and remember that this is a constant interaction. As an artist, I get to display my expression and explore who I am till I go, I suppose. But, you know, I think we all get to be, we are artists. This life is, there's a choreography in it. There's the pause, there's the rise, there's the fall and everything. It's all very beautiful and tragic. But I think we have to remember that we are collaborating with it all, you know, and breath is our first and our last collaboration in this realm. Your first one, they wait for it. And the last one, we try to hold off, I suppose. But while we're here, remember that every inhale and exhale, you are receiving and releasing. So let's receive and release together, please. A nice big breath. And there's so many of us, and I know your masks are on, so we're gonna receive the breath back, but don't worry. Let's take another one, and remember your shoulders have nothing to do with this. That is cheap satisfaction, okay? That's not how we breathe. That's not how we breathe. That's how we dance. But you gotta, you know, I'm thick, we get thicker up in this cathedral, all right? You gotta take it all in. So let's take a nice deep breath and get it all the way down. You ready? Another. And on this next one, I just want to invite y'all to scream with me. I get blessed to scream all the time. But I want to invite y'all to just release whatever it is that you need to release so that we can walk out of here different. You know, I don't think we ever get to be the same, and we should honor that. So whatever it is that's holding you back or keeping you quiet or has you up at night, let's release that. Leave it here. Let's lay it at the literal altar. Oh, God. And then I'll walk away. But yeah, let's scream together at the top of our lungs. You ready? A nice deep breath first. Okay. That's right. Hallelujah. Bye.
If you are able, stand, please. Just to let the blood flow more freely in our bodies. And if you want to, touch your hands, take your hands. Take the hand of the person next to you. Or just touch the elbow. How do we stand with each other? How do we stand apart from each other? How do we stand when our bodies are beaten down, broken, heavy? Why do we stand? We can sit. Many moons back, I remember waking up before the sun went up behind the mountains, and 3 of my brothers and 4 of my cousins decided the night before to go to the river and take a swim. I was of a tender age of 7. And it took us about a 2-hour walk to get to the closest river. I remember I put my legs into the flow. And some of my cousins and my brothers, they jump in with their clothing and the gathered dust from the road. And we play. And we got caught up that we didn't notice until we felt the lightning striking on the water and the earth shaking around us. The storm had come upon us, and as we tried to get away from it, you shouldn't be running from the storms or in the middle of a storm, but we did, looking for a place. to secure ourselves. And I remember getting to this hut made up of metal sheets, basically a shack. And we went in. And as we went in, I remember sighing with relief, thinking that we were safe. The howling wind outside. And to my horror and surprise, I saw how one of the walls began being lifted up. In the middle of the storm, this booming voice of our aunt, who happened to live in the hut, commanded us, stand up, put your bodies together, take each other's hands, and walk towards the wall that was being lifted up. And we did as she commanded us. And then she said, when we were in front of the wall, she said, now press your bodies against the wall. We did so. Right then, we felt the wall go back down to its place. And I had a smile from ear to ear, and I turned around looking for affirmation, and more so, overjoy. But as I was turning around and smiling, I saw that the opposite wall was being lifted up. You see, I don't know how long that storm lasted. The lesson, though, is very much present to me. One of the lessons is knowing our fragility, knowing that we as individuals cannot do much. But once we put our bodies together, we are an invincible force. (11209), my zip code. Trump land. So I happened to be in this space of a church that after the third day, when the school that we leased the space to shut down, there were some families coming to the church's door, knocking at the door and asking for food. And that began what has become our community food pantry for the last 2 years. And we have given up more than, I was trying to make an account of the families that we've been able to feed, but it's over 150,000 families and counting. The surprising thing, though, is that up to this point, I don't know who has keys of the church anymore. Because every time I go in, there are people doing their stuff. And at one point, I do remember people basically coming together and saying, you know, we have this plot of uncultivated land on the back, a small patio. And some of them said, why don't we begin sowing plants that our ancestors taught us that can be medicine for our bodies. So they began that. And then they expanded to every space around the church. And after finishing that handful of people said, do you have more space? So they went up to the roof, and a few years back, some of the church people had already set it up for a roof garden. So it got activated. And they began planting seeds and saying, you know, what really can make us stronger before the face of this virus? And then the question kept getting more sophisticated and relevant and say, well, what plants or what food is really good for our bodies? You see the collective effort of people. What a handful of people can do can never be underestimated. And then there was a room that was used by our music director who couldn't make it to the church because she was at risk, very much at risk. Maria Jose, who is an indigenous woman who speaks Mixteco from the mountains of Guerrero, met with Leo, who is another indigenous person from the mountains in Guatemala. And they said, you know, our people are dying on their own, and they don't have the right information on where to go. So they set up a community radio in Mixtec and Nam. So every other week for 2 hours, they tell stories. They translate it into Spanish, and then they do it in English. Then we have Aristoteles, the philosopher, whom we, a coalition, which is St. John the Divine is part of the Sanctuary Coalition also, we were able to get him out of detention after being in that Guantanamo for 19 months. And ever since he came in April of 2020, a year ago, he's been coordinating a lot of what happens in church as a way to give back to the community. And we keep getting arrivals, asylum seekers in the midst of this pandemic. And Aristoteles, that knows the system from the inside, has been able to offer his knowledge so that others may walk free, so that others may regularize their status. Don't ever underestimate the power of a handful of people. Today I stand before you and I am reminded that a year ago Claudio died. Claudio from Tlapa had come when he was 16 years old. And he would have been 31 in a couple of months. He went into the hospital, didn't have family here, and his friend, co-worker, didn't know what to do with his ashes. So I took a trip myself. You know, one of the privileges of being a citizen is that one can go back and forth. So I went back and took Claudio with me. And the night before I was packing Claudio on my suitcases, another family came with their ashes because they couldn't go back to Mexico, and we didn't have, you have to have some kind of paperwork to travel, you know, to take the ashes back. And Antonio came in 25 years ago, didn't know his last daughter in Mexico because she was born 3 months after him being here. And his brother couldn't take him back. So he smuggled himself into the country 25 years ago. And just about a year ago, I smuggled him back. I put him in the middle on my suitcases and I took him back to Oaxaca, to his daughter that never met him. So there is a great deal of work for us to do. There is right now a handful of people that are utilizing our Soul Cafe. Our Soul Cafe is the fellowship hall connected to the church. And Guadalupe Maravilla, whom I guess some of you may know, is doing sound therapy. We haven't stopped for about 2 years. Every Saturday, for the people that get together and hand out the food, give care packages, dance, do the arts project in our space. They come together every Saturday and they lay on the wooden floor. And at the sound of the gong, they reconnect themselves to their breath. And they intentionally heal their broken bodies, their souls. what do we do? How do we stand when we bear so much weight in our hearts? How do we respond? So stand up somewhere. Know that even in our fragility, when we learn to stand together, we can make a difference. We need that standing from all of us, because I think this crisis that is not over will need of our blood and our lives, so that we may keep ourselves being human. And I think that's the most difficult task that we have before us. In these inhuman times, how do we keep human each other? So let us continue to stand.
Hello. Hello, you beautiful people. We are here, we are alive. Who is that woman who came down the aisle singing that? Pardon me? What an amazing presence. Extraordinary, extraordinary. Are you here? Are you here? I am here, I am here. Well, the virus apparently had something to tell us. And it is, we are one world. We are one people. All over this planet, people were infected. And people died. And people lived. And people put on masks. And people helped each other. And people sat outside hospital room windows, holding the hand of people they loved as they died, through the glass. We need to remember we are one people and we are one planet. And our planet is part of a larger system. That we are part of something so big and mysterious we can't even begin to understand it. My students and I have been learning about eco-poetry, about trying to understand how everything is connected to everything else. And one of the things we were looking into is where did we come from? Where are we going? And so we got thinking about the Big Bang, which many scientists believe started the whole universe. That there was a tiny piece of matter that blew up into everything that is. And when the Hubble telescope showed us that galaxies are actually moving apart from each other, that seems to confirm it. That original piece of matter that blew up into all that is called the singularity. So I'm going to read one brief poem in celebration of that singularity we all are. Do you sometimes want to wake up to the singularity we once were? So compact, nobody needed a bed, or food, or money. Nobody hiding in the school bathroom, or home alone, pulling open the drawer where the pills are kept. For every atom belonging to me as good belongs to you. Remember? There was no nature, no them, no test to determine if the elephant grieves her calf or if the coral reef feels pain. Trashed oceans don't speak English or Farsi or French. Would that we could wake up to what we were when we were ocean. And before that, to when sky was earth and animal was energy and rock was liquid and stars were space and space was not at all. Nothing. Before we came to believe humans were so important, before this awful loneliness, can molecules recall it, what once was before anything happened? No I, no we, no one, no was, no verb, no noun, only a tiny, tiny, tiny dot, brimming with is, all, everything, home.
Let's you and me go swimming.
Let's you and me go swimming
in the dead zone sea.
In the dead zone sea.
De-demonize the Wuhan bat.
De-demonize the Wuhan bat.
The civet cat goes free.
The civet cat goes free.
Let's you and me go climb.
Let's you and me go climb
up the blackened mountainside.
Up the blackened mountainside.
Apologize to the bleeding sun.
Apologize to the bleeding sun.
We lost the last word.
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 Let's you and me go fly.
Let's you and me go fly.
Take a rocket to the innocent breeze.
Take a rocket to the innocent breeze.
Breathe the smog of broken data.
Breathe the smog of broken data.
Crash in the crime of the trees.
Crash in the crime of the trees.
Let's you and me go die.
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 Win the race to end our race.
Win the race to end our race.
Look up from the mirror and into the eye.
Look up from the mirror and into the eye
of everyone's unknown beautiful face.
Of everyone's unknown beautiful face.
Of everyone's everyone's unknown beautiful face.
Of everyone's unknown beautiful face.
I love the horizons, leaping to its depth. Let's embrace what isn't there. Let's go for a swim in the raging flood.
Of everyone's unknown beautiful face. Mother Earth self-care.
Mother Earth self-care. Mother Earth self-care. Mother Earth self-care. Mother Earth self-care. Mother Earth self-care. Mother Earth self-care. Mother Earth self-care. Mother Earth self-care. Hallelujah! 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 Hallelujah!
Hallelujah! We're so honored to be here with you at this important gathering. This is the Stop Shopping Choir. We fight consumerism by going into the back aisle of Walmart and confronting people wearing prom dresses. Amen? It works. Welcome to the earth, church. We're grateful.
What did you do to the great outdoors? And to our children's children, why and why for? You couldn't decide about that thing called life. You wanted more gas, more guns, more sacrifice. Will a child from the future walk on your door? Will she say, I'm a dead kid from 2044? You don't seem to want your future anymore, but the future wants more life, not war. I am the X in extinction, you fools. Your children's children from 2044. And I am looking for a vacation in the great outdoors. Extinction takes a vacation. I walk in your door. Your population of bodies is my white sand shore. This pandemic made of humans has lost its role. You're my scenic view now. You're my forest floor. I am the X in extinction, you fools. Your children's children from 2044. And I am looking for a vacation in the great outdoors. I am the X in extinction, you fools. Your children's children from 2044. And I am looking for a vacation in a great outdoors. I am the X in extinction, you fools. Your children's children from 2044. I am looking for a vacation in the great outdoors. This pandemic made humans has lost its role. You're my scenic view now. You're my forest floor.
I think an advertising executive might say that imagine repair. Those two words don't go together. Repair, first of all, it's a dead word. It's from years ago. We're in a throwaway culture now. We don't repair anymore. We don't get somebody to repair our Chevrolet. We throw it away, lease a new one. We've been doing that for years. Repair. the two words, they're going in different directions. Even if we did repair, you repair something, you have an ideal of what's going to work. You have a destination. You know where you're going. You've got a hard, formal, utopic place you're getting to. Everything's going to work. You're going to work on it. Everything's going to fit together. Imagination's not like that. Imagination has no ideal. That's the whole point. Imagination, it's new, shocking, unexpected, delightful, scary. And where you end up as a result of your imagination really shouldn't be a place that you could have guessed at. Over the last 2.5 years, we've just had the invitation of repair. That's a word you could apply to unsuccessful sorrowing. Everybody in this room is lost. I can feel it. I know the choir. We've lost loved ones. And there was that invitation, that Hallmark card invitation to try to rebuild, to recall everything about, to erect nostalgia on behalf of our loved one. Then you think about it, and maybe that loved one wouldn't want us to do that, wouldn't want us to attempt some kind of false immortality that way. Maybe that loved one would be asking us, I think not, no, maybe about it. I think exactly our loved one would want us to live life. Live life. Because our loved one loved life. And our loved one asks us to live life as best we can. And how do we do that? We do that with imagination. Imagination and repair do kind of go together if the imagination is determining what repair is. And what do you call that? You call that evolution. And what's evolution? That's how life lives. That's how life lives. And that is what the earth is doing right now. Earth, hallelujah? The earth is evolving in its rapid, radical extinction era. Evolution is coming really fast. And we don't know what the earth is doing. The earth isn't going to explain it to me. It's not a repair job that we understand. There's no instruction manual. But we trust her, don't we? Earth, hallelujah, we trust her. She's done this before. We know that we evolved. We know that all the superstorms and wildfires and heat waves and starvation and diseases and the virus is evolution. I read that 40% of our bodies, the characteristics that we're carrying around right now that are preaching at you and listening to this, were determined by viruses. Viruses are life. Where does that leave us? Just where we always were. Life is unexplained, a complete mystery. It shouldn't be something with answers. It leaves us with the phrase, imagine repair. It leaves us with sorrowing evolution, sorrowing creativity. Two things we never put together, but the earth does. The earth teaches us. You can lose life and gain life. It happens at the same time, and it must. That is how life lives. Is that a comfort? Maybe not all the time. Maybe I'm exaggerating. I don't want to instruct us to have comfort where there is none. It's life, and it's what we have to live with. It's life. That's why we're here today. We're evolving, and it's new. And it's what our lost loved ones would want us to do. To live life. Life, hallelujah. Life, hallelujah. What an amazing thing. Life. Nobody ever explained it to us. Life. Earth, hallelujah. Earth, hallelujah. Earth, hallelujah.
There is new life in the rain, the rain, the earth, the earth, the earth, the earth is in pain. The earth, the earth, the earth, the earth is in pain. The earth, the earth, the earth, the earth is in pain. Is in pain. Furious trees are calling out, heart stop, mouth open, echoes, oh, echoes, desire, desire. I see the sea in the sky, waves are turning, waves are turning. Is there new life in the pain? In the pain. In the pain. Life in the pain. Is there new life in the pain? Yes. There's new life in the rain. There's new life, new life, new life, new life in the rain. New life in the rain. The earth is in pain. The earth, the earth, the earth, the earth is in pain. The earth, the earth, the earth, the earth is in pain. The earth, the earth, the earth, the earth is in pain.
Please call out the names of the folks who've left you. Asha. Asha Greer.